Hi folks, in this video I'm going to show you how to create a layout for your AutoCAD drawings and how to insert a title block. The title block that we need for this video, and this would be the title block for the 105 course, at least for mine it might be, different for your 105 course, but for mine, if you go to Content, Title Blocks, there is B-size Imperial PDF. Eventually there'll be a B-size metric PDF. But for now, we're going to grab this one, although I might have a copy already. And I do. All right. Now, folks, there's nothing special about that. It's just a drawing. So if I open that drawing, come right here. It doesn't matter which one. So we have a rectangle, we have some lines, we have some text. This might be a little bit special. We have an attribute. This is the reason, for those of you who have already inserted your title block, that is the reason you had that little dialog pop up and were able to enter the title without having to use a text command. I'll show you how to. You'll have to create your own title blocks about mod 7 or so in the 105 course. But for now, you're going to use this one. So let me close this up. You didn't need to open it, but if you did, that's fine. Just close it up. Okay, let's create a layout. So I'll jump over to Layouts. My model's complete. Jump over to Layouts. Going to right-click on my Layout tab, Page Setup Manager. Modify. Now you can leave this to the plot style table. You can leave it to none, which would default to AutoCAD CTB if you want to see your colors in your plot. If you didn't want to see your colors, you could go with a grayscale or monochrome or something, but we'll leave that at none. The plotter we want for this course, and this is for the 105 course, high quality PDF. And the paper is ANSI B 11 by 17. That's it. Right, you'll notice I didn't choose the one that said expanded. I didn't choose one that said full bleed. Just ANSI B 11 by 17. And that title block that I showed you fits this plotter and page size combination perfectly. Otherwise it wouldn't fit. Let's choose OK. Close. Now we have our viewport. I'm going to change the size of it here a little bit. I'll just make that top right grip hot. Do the same for the top left. We also want this viewport to be on a no plot layer. And by the way, if for some reason you didn't have a viewport, let me just tap delete on the keyboard. Your model is still there. That viewport is just a window to your model. So within your layout, in paper space in your layout, which if you don't have a viewport, it's the only place you can be, but you can do MV and pick 2 points. So pick and pick, and what that does is that gives you a window back to your model. If for some reason you got here and you just didn't see your model, whether you're in model space within your layout or you're in paper space within your layout, if you don't see it, you can just switch to model in the layout. You can either use the button down here or double click, type Z for zoom, and use the extents modifier. So E for extents, and it'll zoom your drawing to extents. Now let's set a scale for this. I'm going to come down and I will choose 1:1. I think that'll fit perfectly. If it didn't, well, I could choose 1:2, or maybe if I had a whole bunch more room, I could go 2:1. But for this, 1:1 fits perfectly, and I don't want to do anything else other than lock my viewport after I set that scale. Little lock right down here, and I might be in the way. Let me do this just so you can see it. Okay. So when I set my scale, I did it right here. It shows 1:1. And then again, as soon as I'm done, as long as I'm nice and centered here, as soon as I'm done, I lock my viewport. And what that does is it disallows me the ability to zoom in floating model space within my layout. If I needed to, well, I could unlock my viewport and then change my scale or something. Maybe I wanted a 1:2 scale, and then I could lock that viewport up. I don't, so I go back to my 1:1, and I will lock that viewport up. Okay, that's great. We can do a quick test. I could type PRE, see how it's looking. So far it looks pretty good, but I don't want an arbitrary rectangle, which is a AutoCAD tool, right, that viewport, in my layout. So I need to make that so it's no plot. So what I'll do is I'll create a layer. Make sure I have a layer for this. So we'll create a layer. Call it viewport. So I have a viewport layer. And what I can do is I can make that viewport layer no plot. So I can do that right there. Now if I choose, put my viewport on that layer and do a preview, PRE, you'll notice I don't see it anymore, and I don't want to. Now if you're on a Mac, I don't think you have that no plot button for your Mac. So you can do this all at the terminal, at the command line, right? So dash LA for layer. And let's go to no plot. Is it there somewhere? It should be. Maybe we have to go to plot first. So P for plot, and then no plot, right? So now I can say N for no plot. Then it's going to ask me for the layer. I'm just going to I'll make center no plot. It shouldn't be, but just to show this works. So I'll choose center, hit enter. And you'll notice that center is now no plot up here. Now, I don't want my center lines to be no plot. I want to see them. So let's go ahead and bring those. Let's go ahead and bring those back. Okay, perfect. Now we can bring that. We can bring that title block in. So, all right. Now to bring in your title block, it's going to be in paper space. So you're in a layout. In a layout, I can either be in paper or model. It does not go here. It goes in paper, so I'm going to switch to paper space. I for insert. Current drawing, and I'll click this button right up here that allows me to browse for my title block. So I'm going to browse or any drawing. And this doesn't matter at this point. And I'll go to my, where did I put it? Downloads, I think. Let's go to documents. We'll jump up one level, downloads. And yep, there it is right there. So I'm going to choose open. And I want to insert this at 0, 0. I'm not going to arbitrarily just put it somewhere. I'm going to type 0, 0, enter. And remember that attribute I said, this is the reason we could fill out because of that attribute in the title block DWG file. And I will do, I think this is the rod support, all uppercase. And that's all you have to put for the title. So just rod support. A little bit different than the file name, right, which needs to be explicit. But for this, just rod support's fine. And again, that's my class. I don't know about yours. If you're in a different class with a different instructor, put whatever they say to put there. Okay, so far so good. It's looking pretty good. Right? Kind of zoom in. I can see my thick versus my thin lines, right? For my center line versus my object lines, or my center mark versus my object. Same thing with the hidden lines. I see those are thin. So this is looking pretty good. And the last thing I need to do is just fill out the rest of my text. Now, before I do that, I'm going to type ST for style. And I want to create, well, I already have a Romanesque style, but if you didn't, you would choose New. Romanesque, and I'll just call this Romanesque 1 or something, just because there is a Romanesque. And then choose the Romanesque font, right? So you can come here and scroll down until you find Romanesque. Right? Just because you got to something that looks like it, don't pick Roman C or Roman whatever, right? IV25, pick the one that's Romanesque. Cool. All right, we can set that current. Close up, and now we can add the rest of the text. Now, when you're, what I didn't do is when I inserted my title block, you notice it inserts onto the current layer. Well, I want it to be on the border layer. So my title block came in with a border layer. If yours didn't, you could create a border layer. That'd be absolutely fine. So you could create your own, which is continuous in the default line weight. Okay. Now, it also came in with a title block text layer. So I'll just put my title block text right on that layer. Again, you want to create your own, that's fine. Okay, so DT. I'll pick a start point here, and I'm not going to just hit enter at this point and accept the default 0.2. The ASME standard says that this general text should be 0.125 tall, so I'm going to type 0.125. Enter. Rotation is 0. It's in the angle braces, so I can just hit enter to accept the default. So I'll pick that. And I'm going to want the date. So the date right now is 09 something. So slash 2023. All right, and then I just hit a return. I can add the rest of my text. So 1 to 1 would be the scale. I drew it. So Richardson, always uppercase text on your ASME title block. What else do we have? The course. So for this course, it's AEE DD 105, and the section. Well, I'm just going to put 01, and I'm not going to worry too much about what you put in for the section. Many of my classes have 3 or 4 different sections in the same class. If everybody put 01, I would be okay with that. And this drawing is 02, so I'll put 02 for the DWG. Okay, and now I can just move this stuff in place, right? I can use the grip edit mode by just selecting a grip, and it'll default, since it's text, it'll default to move. Grab that 01, that's going to go here. Now I want to line this text up nice, so I want it all lined up perfectly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the insertion O-snap. So it's right behind my head there. So I'll turn on the insertion O-snap, make it a running O-snap. And now what I could do is, if I just use move, you notice I get that insertion point, and then I can just track from this insertion point. And since this is an engineering drawing, it'd be nice if I had everything lining up nice. And maybe I put it a little bit too tight over there, so I can just bring it back just a little bit. All right. Cool. All right, so we can move this one too. Oop. Again, I can grab that insertion point and track from this one. Track that over, and let's go ahead and click, and perfect. Right? Sets that right where I want it. Now I also drew it, so I'm the instructor and I drew it, so let me just copy this and I'll stick this over here under drawn by, which should be right about there. Looks a little bit confusing here because my viewport is kind of running through my title block. It's no plot, which really doesn't matter, but let me just move that up a little bit, make it neater. Okay, and lastly, let's move these two down. So now you cannot use grip edit. So just making a grip hot will only make one of the grips hot. So even though this one was selected, but what you could do is you could hold down shift. So if I hold down shift and pick both, then I can use grip edit on both of them. Or you could have just used the move command and grabbed them both and moved too. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. Now before I submit my work, I obviously want to see what my work would look like plotted and check it, right, before I ask my teacher to. So I'll do a preview, PRE. It's going to preview what my plot would look like. And that looks pretty good. It looks like I might be a little bit high here, so maybe I definitely would move my text down a little bit, so my text isn't overlapping part of my title block. But other than that, it looks pretty good. So I'm going to save this with whatever the file naming convention is for your class, and I'm going to submit that DWG file. Okay, hope it was helpful.